Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we're doing a what's next on Erislandy Lara, the reigning WBA middleweight champion of the world, following his second straight consecutive title defense of the WBA title this year, as he stopped former two-division world champion Danny Garcia on the Canelo Berlanga undercard, as that was the co-main for that, as he retained his belt. Before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So, this performance by Lara wasn't obviously his best. I think there's a lot of people that are kind of like, so what about it? Because he fought Garcia, who hadn't fought in a couple years and was moving up to middleweight. They fought at a catchweight. This is a fight that was supposed to happen like last year, and it happened way too late. I don't think a lot of people cared about the fight. And, he kind of, outside of him stopping Garcia, I think it was more just Garcia just gassing out and kind of just not really being into the fight head-wise. So, he got the win, though. He stays the world champion. He's an older fighter. I think he's like 41 now. And now the big question is, what's next for Erislandy Lara following this win? And it's kind of hard to say, because Lara, this is the first time he's fought 2 times in a calendar year since, I believe, 2017. He's been fighting once a year since, if that, taking a lot of time off in between fights, not staying very busy. And, he is the middleweight champ now, so he does have something working for him here, and it's going to be interesting to see what he decides to do. So let's run through the top 10 and some of the guys outside of the top 10 and see what possibly could be going on for Erislandy Lara next. We start with number 1, reigning unified champ, Janibek Alamanhalai. Janibek's coming off of a win over Andre Mikhailovich just a couple days ago, actually last Friday, so about a week ago. Solid performance out of Janibek, stopping him, but Janibek has already been ordered to defend his unified title against Hamza Shiraz next. If he does not and decides to unify belts, say with a guy like Lara, he's going to be stripped of the WBO belt. I don't think he wants that. I don't think Janibek would mind a fight with Lara, but honestly, I don't think Lara wants that fight. It's PBC working with Top Rank, which is already hard enough. And I don't think Lara is interested in that fight. So then you got Carlos Adames, the WBC champion. I think this might be the fight that makes the most sense, because Lara is a guy that ever since Canelo especially, he's a guy that felt like he's been done dirty. But Lara's been in some good fights over the years against some good opponents. And the last time he really had a chance to fight to prove that he was a top dog in the division and unify belts, he's never unified belts, was against Jarrett Hurd back in 2017. And he lost that fight. So considering he's never been a unified champ, he has an opportunity within the PBC right here to fight Adames. And with Janibek being ordered to fight Hamza Shiraz, I mean, right now is the time to make this fight, because with Turki Al-Sheikh in the mix, that absolutely, Turki Al-Sheikh could make this fight, if the PBC makes this fight on a big undercard, or even on an Amazon card to make it the main event, to unify 2 belts, Janibek's already the unified champion. He fights Hamza Shiraz next. If that fight goes through, the winner of that fight could fight the winner of this fight, and Turki Al-Sheikh can make it happen over in Saudi Arabia. And that's a big money fight. With Lara being 41, I think now, this is a time to strike on something like that. He can make a shitload of money and take a chance at undisputed. And I think that's history right there, and that would be big. So whomever it is, Lara should be at least attempting to unify belts against Carlos Adames next, because that would be the first time he'd unify titles, and he'd be sitting there number 1 or 2 in the division, which is huge. So I think this is a really possible matchup to make, because both guys are with the PBC, and it's an all Latin fight right here. So why not make this fight? But we'll see. But I'm hoping that that this one is a real possibility. Then there's Hamza Shiraz. Not going to happen. Shiraz is mandatory to Adames in the WBC, and he's mandatory to Janabek in the WBO. He's not, I think he's rated like number 6 in the WBA. I don't think either one. I think Shiraz looks at some of the other guys as better options. And Lara, an older fighter, does he want to fight a big middleweight right now? No, I don't see this one. Then there's Chris Eubank Jr. Interesting battle. I think Eubank at some point should fight for a middleweight title. He's fighting Zeramita this Saturday. If he's victorious there, I mean, why not take a crack at Chris, at Erislandy Lara if Lara wants that fight? If Lara's in optional mode and he wants to make an impression by fighting a big-time, name, and Eubank wants to win a world title, why not fight a 41-year-old with a name like Lara if I'm Eubank? So I'm leaning towards a less likely on this fight because I think both guys are probably going to look in another direction, but I like the fight, and I don't see why it shouldn't and couldn't be made. Then you got Liam Smith, the former junior middleweight champ. Not likely, but Liam Smith is a good name, but he's also not even ranked in the WBA, and he's with a different promotion, so I'm going to have to say no to that one. Kyrone Davis. This is one that definitely could happen. He's actually ranked he's ranked number 11 in the WBA, and he's also a PBC guy coming off a big win over Elijah Garcia. So if the unification bout with with what's his name can't be made, why not fight a guy like Kyrone Davis who's coming off a big win? I think that's definitely an option. Then there's Shane Mosley Jr. Shane Mosley Jr. has been ranked number 1 by the WBA right now. He is up there, and with the name Shane Mosley, I think this is a fight Lara might take. He might make a mandatory. I know Danny Garcia was an optional. His last mandatory was Michael Zarafa back in March. I think Lara could fight Shane Mosley Jr. next. He'd be the favorite going in. It'd be a name, to get on his resume. And Shane Mosley has been hot, so I do think that fight's an option. Then there's Austin Ammo Williams. I'm going to say no to this one. Ammo's coming off of a loss to Hamza Shiraz. It's a fight that Lara doesn't have to take against a young, kind of really stout fighter. I don't see Lara taking a risk against him. A rematch with Gaucher, I don't see that one. Guys outside of the top 10, Jamal Charlo. I mean, if Charlo wants to come back and get that smoke at 160 and face a guy like Lara, I think Lara would fight him all day. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Charlo wants to come back and test himself at 160. I think Charlo's probably going to be going 168 going forward. Elijah Garcia is coming off of a loss. There's no point in Lara fighting a younger guy that's probably like half of his age. There's no point in that. Vicente Gualtieri, a former champ. I mean, I guess you can throw his name in the mix because he's a former champion, but I just think Lara has better options that he could take. Other guys that are ranked highly. In the WBA particularly, you have Connor Coyle, an undefeated fighter, trying to make a move. Yoanli Hernandez, not a big name. Ian Green, Brad Pauls, those are the top guys in the WBA right now. Other top names, Miram Nursultanov, isn't even ranked in the WBA. He's highly rated in the WBC. Denzel Bentley, highly rated in the WBO. There's just not really any feasible fights that I think make sense for Lara. And that's why I really think Lara needs to consider taking on he can stay within the PBC. I think a unification bout with Carlos Adames is the fight. I think that's the one he should go after next. That one to me is the number 1 fight. Number 2 might be Shane Mosley Jr. because he's the number 1 contender. You get him out of the way and he's a big name because he's got the Shane Mosley name. So that makes sense. I think his third option is either a Eubank fight. If he can lure Chris Eubank into a title fight, I think that would be big because Eubank's got a solid name. But I also think Kyrone Davis is a very real possibility because he's a PBC guy coming off of a big win. And Charlo, if Charlo really wants to fight at middleweight, but I don't think he does. So that's it. That's what I got. That's my what's next on Erislandy Lara, the reigning WBA middleweight champion, following his 9th round TKO victory over Danny Garcia on the Canelo Berlanga undercard. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing, and you've been hit with the truth.